Welcome back, boys, to the Boys Hub Live. Today, we're discussing the NCAA paying their athletes. So, just recently, the NCAA passed a bill saying that they're going to allow athletes to profit off their name in the 2021-2022 season. And I'm all for the athletes getting paid, and I think that they generate so much money for the NCAA and they should get paid, but I feel it can make a turn for the worse if it somehow devolves into a salary cap for each team or something along those lines, like a universal salary cap.
Yeah, I agree with Evan. So basically, athletes can be in ads and can reference their sport plus school, but they can't use the school logos or branding. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how the athletes are incorporated into different ads on TV and stuff like that. And they could also hire agents now. So I feel like athletes are going to go out of their way to make money off their names, such as making YouTube channels, Twitch streams, stuff like that. And they're definitely going to try and get more leverage on Instagram and social media platforms.
Yeah, it's good that they did that because the NCAA just lost three five-star recruits to the G League. They lost Daisha Nix, the number one point guard, Jalen Green, the number one player, and Isaiah Todd, who was top 20, all to the G League because they're getting paid. And that's obviously not good for the NCAA or I think for them because the NCAA is the best place to develop and get ready for the league. So I think it's smart that they're doing it. However, I think a lot of players might get caught up in the social media influence aspect and start to train less and focus more on their brand.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea actually for the players to be able to make money. I think it's about time because it seems like they do so much for the NCAA and the NCAA just doesn't care. The NCAA we all know stands for not caring about athletes, and I think that acronym works perfectly for the stuff that they do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
agree with
generate.
Jack. Because according to Andrew Lisa from Yahoo Sports, the NCAA made roughly $1 billion in revenue during the 2016
Mhm.
and 2017 school year, and basketball alone accounted for about 75% of that revenue. So I feel like, I mean, I'm just talking about basketball specifically in this instance, but like as you can see, the athletes are definitely playing a huge part in the amount of money that the NCAA generates. So I think it's a long time overdue that the athletes weren't getting paid. So finally, I think that it's giving them justice to allow them to make money off their name.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the schools are going to get positively affected as well because it takes sometimes players to go to the college to kind of revolutionize the college and change their aspect. Like when Penny Hardaway went to Memphis, a lot of people started committing to Memphis. And Jalen Green, the number one player in the 2020 class, said he was going to go to Memphis if it wasn't for the G League. And if he goes there, maybe a ton of other shooting guards and point guards will go there because they'll be like, wait, I can be the next Jalen Green. So without Jalen Green going there, Memphis lost potentially a dozen five-star, four-star, three-star recruits that could better their program.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
the NCAA doesn't even exist without athletes. So it's like I think that
Yeah.
they should at least be able to do something. And I think making money off their own name is fine. It's not they're not using the school or anything other than themselves to make the money.
For
Hmm.
sure. It's definitely going to have a rippling effect on all of the schools across the nation. It's going to be pretty crazy to watch unfold.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it might even trickle down possibly to like the Nike EYBL, the Adidas Gauntlet, and the Under
Yeah.
Armour Association tournaments because those guys are basically D1 athletes already in high school and they're not getting paid to do this. And what if, these high school athletes get agents and all that? How will that all transpire? I think that's going to be pretty interesting to see, but I don't think that part will happen for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because I feel like athletes that know they're going D1, it's gonna be weird to see like the minimum age for when these athletes start getting their agents. Because I feel like people our age are gonna be getting agents if they're top notch basketball or D1 athletes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Mikey Williams is currently a freshman right now and he has 2 million on Instagram and he already has a lot more, media influence than the majority of NBA players pretty much because this guy played with Bronny and got all this hype and now if he can get an agent, get sponsors before college, before he's even an upperclassman, that'll be just maybe kind of pry him away from working harder.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna
think
be
we could go
revolutionary
sorry.
for sure.
Yeah. I think we could go as far as saying that 8th graders might even end up with agents because some of these guys are just born with the gift to be an athlete, and you can tell early, like, oh, this kid's gonna be great. Like someone like I don't know, just a great athlete. Like say someone like Tyreek Hill. Like I bet that they knew way before he got an agent that he was amazing.
For sure.
I think we're missing. I think we're missing the biggest part where NCAA 2022 could be a thing for football. So
I was
mean,
about to
that's
Yeah.
ask
probably
that.
that's
Yeah.
I
probably
was
the
about
best
to
part to
ask,
come out of it.
what do you guys think the chances are of an NCAA football game being produced?
I say very low still.
I think they're
Yeah.
low, but I would love to see it happen. But I've read
I
that,
would buy.
that
I would buy it.
they're not expecting to make a game anytime soon. But I hope so because I know NCAA 14 is still one of my favorite games.
I mean,
I think they should.
I personally wouldn't mind even if they just dropped NCAA 14 with the same graphics. They just changed it to 20 and they updated it a little bit. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
me
a
too.
majority of people just want to see that game.
I think it would only do good too, because these players can make money off their likeness. And even in the game, it was like QB4. Like they didn't have names; it was their position and their number. And
Right.
the NCAA can make so much money off that game. Like I don't think they
Yeah.
understand. I think every single person in America, regardless of age, gender, anything, wants to see NCAA 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous for them not to capitalize on the money they can make from that game, honestly.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think at least put a college mode in Madden or something with whatever. Like they already have some college teams from the quarterback mode where you play. There's like 10
Case
teams
of
who
the
agree to
franchise.
it. So just see who will agree to it and just put those teams in the game, and you can play with them or something. Just somehow I think they need to be on a video game platform.
I think the rift between the NFL or the NBA and the NCAA affiliate is too big. Like the only time they interact when the scouts go to see them and then the player goes to the league, there's not really kind of a companionship between the two. It's more business rather than, fun for everybody because these guys hate going to college
Right.
for the most part and they want to go
Yeah.
overseas, they want to do this, but I think they should make the NCAA more, pre NBA rather than post high school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
agree.
sure.
And what do you think about one and dones? Because I've been reading some articles that the NCAA they're kind of unhappy with one and dones, but I don't think that they'll ever be able to change that rule.
They need one and dones because these guys want to get to the NBA as soon as possible and not risk injury. So by being
Yeah.
a one and done, they can do that. And
Yeah,
they're saying
and
that going straight from high school to the NBA is going to come back. And the number one prospect, regardless of class in high school for basketball, Emoni Bates, said he just is going to go to the NBA if he can instead of going to college. So I
Right.
think they need to cater more towards those athletes and kind of make it impossible not to go to college.
Yeah,
rather
because
than
yeah. If they got rid of the one and done rule, I think a lot of people would just go overseas like LaMelo Ball and they'll just play over there and then wait till it's their turn to be drafted and commit to the draft and then they'll still be drafted so they won't really care that much.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like athletes that are going to be one and dones in college, if they're not allowed to be a one and done, then why not just go to the G League? And sure, you won't make as much
Right.
because you can, or actually, you might make a lot, but I'm not really sure. But
300. The Jalen Green is making 500K, I think, for one
Yeah.
season.
okay, so like you
Yeah,
just
there
take
you go.
that year and then you go straight to the NBA and you get signed to your contract. So like,
Right.
I feel like if you take away the one and done, the whole system will collapse.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think what the players going to the G League and overseas are missing is that being under a microscope on a bigger stage. Like RJ Hampton, who was like top 10 last year in the nation, went to the NBL. He's still like a top 15 pick, like a lottery pick, but he didn't get no one really knows his name right now, aside from like close followers to the draft. He didn't only average like 8 points. He hurt his foot, and I think if he went to college, he would have been a top 5 pick because he's insane. But I think going overseas kind of hurts their draft stock and potentially their development. So by paying those players, the NCAA not only gets more people to go to them, but the NBA gets higher quality rookies.
Yeah.
Players.
I agree with that a lot.
As I said earlier, I was afraid of that. They can make money off their likeness and images, but I'm afraid that somehow the NCAA is going to screw it up and make it like a salary cap per team, which I think is as I said earlier, I think it's stupid because you can't have those historically good teams and rooting for the underdog. And if like if this guy wants to go to LSU and that guy wants to go to LSU, LSU's forced to not only have one of them commit, but to choose one of them. So I don't want that salary cap thing to ever happen. I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
if the
go
salary
ahead.
cap ever happens, then I feel like schools like in massive media markets like SC, Bama, all of these schools, obviously they're raising way more money. So I feel like naturally their salary cap would be larger. So
Hmm.
then how would you differentiate between how the money is spread out between all of the universities? Like somewhere like
Exactly.
DePaul or whatever. Like are you gonna pay the players the same for going there, or are you gonna pay more for SC or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Like
building on that, like people like Miles Powell, who spent 4 years at Seton Hall, and he kind of, you know, got progressively better. Like freshman year, he was okay, but then sophomore, junior, senior year, he was incredible. So what's stopping him from, transferring out of Seton Hall to like a USC or a Duke or a Kentucky to make more money and build even more
yeah.
of his image?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Luckily, I don't think a salary cap will ever happen, but I do see the NCAA because I really don't think that they care at all about the athletes most of the time. I think that they'll end up trying to change it and mess it up. And I think right now it's good, but the NCAA might try and take it in a bad direction eventually.
Hmm. A fear I have with it, with the NCAA paying their athletes or allowing them to make money off their images, college football and basketball and all the other sports will change from the sport to the image, which I think is not good because it's the college sports is like some of the best group of sports ever. So I
Yeah.
think if they focus more on their image rather than the sport, the quality of it's going to go down, the ratings are going to go down potentially. I think they need to let them make money off their image, but then draw the line right there. They can't go that far
Right.
until they
Right.
get to the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Yeah, and
sponsorships are great.
yeah, and I
I
think
think
one of the
athletes should be
main
able to sponsor. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think one of the main counter arguments people have to the whole like athletes getting paid in college is the fact that it might take down like their student pride because they might be playing more for the money instead of just playing to win for their school. So that's
Hmm.
definitely something that I think the NCAA needs to take into consideration, and they definitely need to draw the line so that they can only make money off their image. Because if you allow them to, I don't know, take advantage of that, I feel like they're not going to really want to win for their school and have a whole lot of student pride, and it's just going to be all about the money.
Yeah, it's gonna. There's like,
Yeah.
are you proud to be a Blue Devil? No, I'm proud that I made a ton of money because I'm a Blue Devil, not because I actually,
Yeah.
like I chose the
Exactly.
school for the money, not because I wanted to help the school.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that completely.
And then like schools like Louisville in the past have paid their athletes illegally, so maybe a ton of
Yeah.
tampering cases are
Arizona.
going to happen where they're going to be like, okay, if you go to our school, we already have Nike on the phone. So if you go to our school, Nike's going to sponsor with you, but if you don't, you're not going to get that sponsorship. But I think this athletes have to get it themselves rather than the schools giving it to them. Like
Yeah.
the school and the athlete are two separate things. Can't
Yeah,
have
so
them
the rule
mixed.
states that the schools aren't allowed to intervene, but I know for sure that there's definitely going to be some scandals where they're setting their recruits up with Nike, whatever, all of these sponsorships, and it's definitely going to play a part in recruiting. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, yeah, Arizona. They pay Ayton like $100K to go play with them. They got caught for that.
They played Brian Bowen or Brandon Bowen in 2016 or 17 like 170K to play at
Yeah.
Louisville.
Yeah.
And it's like USC, for example, has a ton of influence regardless of sport. So they're saying, hey, we're not directly giving you anything, but we are USC and we're gonna give you, or we can potentially lead you to all these different things compared to a school like Dayton this year that dominated and I think was going to win March Madness. They can't do that because they're Dayton, and that's not going to help the smaller non-Power 5 conferences and even the smaller teams in the Power 5 conferences. If you
Yeah.
have like USC dominate in the Pac-12, Alabama in the SEC, Ohio State in the Big Ten, and everything else from that. There's not going to be much parity anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the competition level in each conference is definitely going to thin out, and the teams in the biggest media market will definitely improve. Like I see, if in the future SC and UCLA probably rising in their recruiting classes, and teams like Bama staying up there, because I feel like these players are going to want to go where they're going to make money naturally. So like I feel like
Yeah.
the teams that are smaller, like Evan said, are definitely not going to be affected in a positive way from this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's like in the Pac-12, I don't see a team like Colorado. They're not even close to USC or UCLA
Yeah.
or Oregon or Stanford. And then in the SEC, you have names like Alabama and LSU, and it's crazy over there.
Like the Colorado, for example, they can be a dominant team in basketball and football every once in a while, and they're kind of like, a threat to the bigger schools. But if you get that money aspect in, then that threat of a team like Colorado who makes noise every 4 or 5 years is just gonna dwindle down, and it's, as you guys said, USC, UCLA, and then everyone else, which it shouldn't be. It
Right.
should
Yeah.
be like the dominant team, and then but this year this guy got a quarterback, and then this year that they got a wide receiver. Like it should be, each team should have its own flavor to it instead of everyone goes here, no one else goes here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the NCAA would definitely have to find a way to kind of even the playing field for teams like that.
Yeah, and the sad part is they
On a-
have to do this because they're losing people.
Yeah.
On a different note, I feel like the interactivity between the players and the fans is definitely going to increase, because there's going to be these players that are going to get their names out there more. Like Max Brown said, Leon McQuay, a safety on SC a couple of years back, he made beats for rappers, but you can never make money off of that. So I feel like
Yeah.
stuff like that really goes under the radar. It's definitely going to, like, I don't know, it's going to be much bigger in the future. And I think social media is going to be taken by storm from all of these college and high school athletes that are getting their names out there and like saying like, I'm not just a football player, I also do this. And they're going to get these big sponsorships. Maybe like McQuay would have gotten a sponsorship by SoundCloud, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be weird to see.
Yeah, I think it'll help with
Yeah.
athletes who they really don't know, hey, I don't know if I'm going to really ever get drafted or be able to go pro. So I'm going to have this on the side while I'm a college athlete. And while I try as hard as I can, they might not just have enough to make it to the big leagues, and they want something to have on the side that they have as a backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hope that it doesn't devolve into like, again, like the UCLA and USC in the Pac-12, and then Bama, LSU in the SEC, and then Miami and Duke and UNC in the ACC,
Yeah.
and maybe in Clemson. I just don't want it to be like those select teams, and then everything else is just really low level.
Yeah.
I kind of like the upsets and all that.
Yeah, I agree.
So one aspect of the rule is that the players can be in, or the athletes can be in ads and can reference their sport in school, but they can't use school logos or branding. Why do you think that this is?
I think it trickles back down to the making money for the school, because if Juju Smith-Schuster, who is a big personality and really good in college, he goes on a proactive ad or whatnot and goes like, fight on or something, or promoting USC, that school's going to get money from that, which means USC is getting all this money, and then like Utah isn't getting as much money because they don't have that big personality or that extreme marketability like USC does. So if they go on and they start promoting their college indirectly or referencing them or even saying their name, that college is going to make more money, become more prominent in the recruiting scene, and then other colleges are going to start losing desirability to go to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. But I think overall right now it's going to be a good thing. But it'll be
good on
interesting.
paper right now, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see where it goes.
I think I hope that it starts out poorly, because most of these things start out poorly, but then they're gonna like start adding things and tweaking it and making it better and less breakable, I guess.
Yeah.
And we already know a high name athlete's gonna go on for like, Alabama and say Roll Tide by mistake or reference it too closely to the college or something and get fined, which is gonna hurt the NCAA. And like the James Wiseman situation, they're gonna find a loophole ish, and then something new is gonna come out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
as Evan said, it definitely looks good on paper right now, and I personally think it's going to be a good thing for the next few years. But then over time, gradually, I think that it's going to start thinning out where the players are committing, as we previously talked about. And I think it's just going to be
Yeah.
top. I feel like the top 25 in basketball, football, whatever. I feel like it's going to be fairly the same. We're not going to see as many, just like I don't know. I think it's all going to boil down to the fact that the recruits are just going to go where they can make the most money based off sponsorships. So I think
Yeah.
that I feel like over time, sports is going to get less interesting in college if the same players or the best players are constantly committing to the same place.
Yeah. And what the college thing is, the colleges they can only give them potential, not the colleges themselves, but going to college can only potentially give them the ability to make money off their name and all that. But the G League is giving these guys $300,000, $500,000 up front, saying profit off your name, and then here's this extra incentive,
Yeah.
which the NCAA can't match. Or else, if they pay every 4-star, 5-star $500,000, they're going to lose more than they gain.
Yeah, I think as a player, that's a no doubt decision. Like, why would I see how much I can make when I know how much I can make over here in the G League?
Mm-hmm. And
But
I
the
don't
thing
like
is,
that.
I feel like the G League has like a much higher level a much higher level playing field. Like we interviewed Gabe Vincent. He said that the G League was super fast paced. And I feel like a lot of the high school recruits that are looking to be a one and done in college might get kind of surprised by that. And Evan said how their stock might go down while they're playing in the G League or overseas. I feel like that actually might be really I feel like that actually would happen because I feel like some of those players in the G League have played in the NBA before or are constantly going up and down. So I feel like they might get kind of shocked by that and they're not going to be able to develop as well as if they
Yeah.
were in the NCAA playing. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. I feel like their stock will eventually die down a little bit.
Yeah, and I
Emmanuel
think
Mudiay was no, you're good. You're good. What are you saying?
I think that I think it's easier to shine in college than it is in the G League.
Yeah. Relating back to what Alex said, Emmanuel Mudiay, I think, was the number 5 prospect in 2015 or 2014. And
Mhm.
he was the number 1 point guard. He goes to China, gets drafted 6th overall, and then he just wasn't ready for the NBA. And even as he developed over time, he wasn't fully ready. So I think if he went to college, he got familiarized with playing on a big stage, being the guy, and then getting drafted, he's used to all that. But whereas if you go overseas, like not everyone is LaMelo Ball. They're not gonna go overseas and dominate like LaMelo Ball did.
Yeah.
But like if you go overseas, you're not gonna get the playing time most likely. You're not gonna get the same training. You're not gonna get the media attention. So I think you're less prepared in that aspect.
Yep. I agree.
I think college is the best route to go, but and NCAA is trying to make it even better. But as we said earlier, they cannot pay all those athletes as much as the G League or overseas, which is an issue that they need to work around instead of trying to work through in a way.
Yep.
Yeah, for the time being, I think they addressed the issue pretty perfectly. Like they went head on. They did what a lot of people thought they were going to do, and I think it will benefit them for now. But we're going to have to see the tweaks that they make in the future.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
And I think that wraps it up. I think we got everything we wanted to say in there. Pretty good discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching
Okay.
and tune in to
Appreciate
the
it.
episode dropping tomorrow with former USC and Pittsburgh quarterback Max Brown, and now he's an analyst. Tune in for that episode. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Peace out, everyone.
See y'all later.
See you guys.